Hi, this is Miss Archila, the art teacher at Red Bank Middle School. I'm so excited to be here with you today for Women's History Month, speaking about one of my favorite artists, Frida Kahlo. As a Latina myself, Frida was a great influence to me as an artist. I remember being a small child and I always was drawing. I also remember, I don't remember how old I was, but I went to a museum and it was the first time that I had ever seen a Frida Kahlo. I remember standing in front of that painting for a long time and then all of a sudden feeling tears, and I started to cry. And to this day, I don't know why, but I was so affected by the look in her eye and the sadness that I saw. I also connected to maybe that feeling of loneliness when I was growing up. Frida Kahlo was born in Culiacán, Mexico in 1907, and she actually came to painting because of a difficult life. She contracted polio, which is it affects your muscles, and she was bedridden. She wasn't able to get out of her bed for months and months. She also had lasting effects of that polio. For the rest of her life, her right leg was affected. It was thinner than her left leg, and it was also shorter. So when you see images of Frida and you see her with those long Mexican dresses, one of the main reasons why she wore that, aside from being very proud to be Mexican and loving her culture, was because she was ashamed of her leg and she wanted to hide it. Frida is remembered, like I said before, for her self-portraits. She painted her pain and her passion, and when you see the paintings in the bold and vibrant colors, you'll never forget it. Mexican people love their Frida because she paid so much attention to Mexican and indigenous cultures, not only in the way that she dressed, but in the things that she painted. She painted her beloved flag, her clothing, the different kinds of people that you find in Mexico. She painted Mexican fruit and indigenous sculptures. So she was such a proud Mexican. She also is loved by feminists because she depicted the female experience. She was really someone that we really should celebrate for Women's History Month. And I'm just so happy to be here to talk about all of her paintings. I want to tell you that although she's celebrated as the most famous female Mexican artist, I think that she's much more important than that. I think that on a worldwide scale, and she really is famous in that scale, I think that she's really important because I think she opened up her culture to the rest of the world. She was born and grew up in Mexico. She embraced that, and it was only when she met her Mexican husband, Diego Rivera, who is actually the most famous. If somebody would say who's the most famous painter in Mexico, it would be Diego Rivera. Diego was a muralist. He was a very proud Mexican. He painted political murals, and they were bigger than life, and so was he. And Frida, she was such a young girl when they met. They met in school. She met him once when she was 15, and she asked to see him paint because he was painting frescoes at the Ministry of Education. And she just sat there and watched him paint. So at 15, that was the first time that she ever met him, and he was much older than she was. She met him again at 18, and she was just enraptured by his work and also him as a person. So it is funny that the two most well-known Mexican painters were married and they had a grand love story, but it was not ideal, it wasn't easy, and there was a lot of heartbreak in that story. Frida had a terrible accident, I think I mentioned that before, but it affected all of her life, because when she was little and she had polio and she was stuck in bed, she was very frustrated and she probably didn't have a lot to do. But when she had this horrific accident, she was in bed for so many months. She was in a body cast and couldn't move, and her father, who was a photographer, and actually he said that Frida was his favorite, he brought her some paints and he wanted her to be happy so that she could have something to do all of those months that she was stuck in bed. So he put a mirror on her ceiling and she started to paint herself. One of Frida's most famous quotes is, "I paint self-portraits because I am so often alone, because I am the person I know best." Frida, that's how she got started. Through her pain and through her struggle, she discovered art. And she was a prolific painter. In her short life, she painted about 200 paintings, and I think about 163 of those were self-portraits.